gentlemen, it is Case the Producer with Brian and Kenzie in the morning. It's a Case 4, a show in which I coerce management into talking to some of my favorite bands. When you think about Chicago music, you think Smoking Popes, you think Smashing Pumpkins, you think Urge Overkill. Maybe you think new school bands, Beach Bunny, Lurk, and now there is a new band to add to that impressive collection. I'm here with Wes from Brigitte Calls Me Baby. How are you doing, my man?
Really good, especially today.
Good. It's a special day, Twisted Christmas. You guys are playing with Lovejoy and White Reaper tonight, a little bit before you guys go on stage. Are you nervous? Do you get nervous before you go on stage?
Excited, and that sometimes translates into nervous, but it's more nervous energy and excitement.
When you get nervous, do you sweat? Does your tummy hurt? What's your nervous energy look like? I don't imagine you sweating.
Well, my nervous energy is probably something similar to what you're seeing right now.
Okay, all right. So, well, when I walked in, like I've become obsessed with your band over the last month or so because I think what you guys are doing is so impressive. But walking in, I'm not going to touch you, don't worry. But I was talking to somebody beforehand, and I was like, they might be AI generated. I can't believe you're a real person with this magnificent head of hair, with the voice that you have. It just feels like everything you guys do is so different but so authentic, and I have to say I really enjoy that.
Well, thank you. You can touch the hair if you want.
Can I really?
Sure.
I want to do that. Oh, my God. I've never...
Go ahead.
You say when. You say if it's too much.
Go for it.
Oh, my God. This is incredible. Wow.
It's when it goes, I'm
You're going to be in trouble when it goes.
I got
news for it.
That's when I retire.
You're incredibly talented. The hair helps, though. That's the thing. Now, the voice is the other thing. And I'm so curious. You have a golden voice, a gift from the gods, if you will. When did you know you had what is essentially a superpower?
Well, first, thank you. I appreciate that. But I think in middle school when I really started singing, I didn't really like my voice at first because I thought, a lot of the people that I were listening to at the time were quite different than my voice. And at that point, you're so blown away by whatever music you're into that you sort of cling to that. And so that was when I first started to notice that I had a voice that I couldn't really... I always say, for better or worse, this is my voice and it won't be changing. So I guess somewhere around middle school. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Is Brigitte Calls Me Baby, is this sort of your first band? Because I'm trying to imagine like how you guys came to what feels like a fully polished product, even on your most recent EP. I can't imagine you doing like a ska band before this. Have you kind of always been locked into one sort of style?
There was experiments that we won't mention.
Any fun band names of the past that you look back on and go, oh God, I can't believe I called myself this for a little bit? Because Brigitte Calls Me Baby is excellent. It's striking, it's different, but I feel like you guys might have had like a Bleeding Frogs in there at some point.
So I'm from Texas, and I did have in high school some punk bands that I think the desire was to have these eccentric names, and a friend of mine came up with a name, Lunatic Nursing Home Massacre.
Excellent.
I didn't stay in that band.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
I didn't stay in that band too long.
Well, joke's on you because they're obviously a huge success now.
Right.
I was reading you're into French films. Is this correct?
Yeah, really quite a bit.
Okay, all right. So here's what I want to know, and be honest with me. We're friends now. We're close. Yeah. I'm a huge Smith and Morrissey guy, and so part of, I think, being a Morrissey obsessive is you start to get into his influences, and he was a big English film guy, A Taste of Honey, films like that. So when I was in college, I was like, I'm going to be a British films guy. I buy my Criterion Collection DVDs, I'm going to feel sophisticated, and then I went through about 10 of them, and I was like, I can't pretend to like this anymore. Are you putting on a front with these French films, or is this something you sit down and actually enjoy? I actually enjoy, and it caused me a lot of grief in high school, I'll say that, because I would have friends over, and we would watch movies, and I would always add something to the mix. Like, yeah, they're like, let's watch Step Brothers, and you're like, what about this? Right, and I think the struggle was, it felt pretentious for sure, and there's always that line that I do not like to cross with the pretension. But no, I think if you can get past the language barrier, it's some of the greatest plots in those films. And
I'm going to call them movies so that I don't sound pretentious.
That helps. That
movies,
helps.
those movies. But I mean, movies, cinema, if you will, in general, is an influence on the band, the aesthetic, the lyrics, and the performance, without question.
Can I ask, because I've never really dipped my toes into that water, if you had to say this is the French film to start with, what would it be?
Yeah, that is a great question. The first one that I saw was, I was in probably middle school, and I think it's pronounced La Verte, and it is a Brigitte Bardot thing, but it's kind of like a horror of the times, and it's, as far as having all of the elements of what makes those movies great, it's in there.
Wonderful. Well, I'll let you go in just a second because you guys have to go out and play in front of 4,000 people. But before you go, it's been such a huge year for you guys. You guys first came on my radar. You opened for Muse last year at the Riv right across the street. And then ever since then, there's just been more and more buzz. What have you learned either about yourself or about the band? What's a lesson you're taking away from this year? What feels like the first real big year for this band?
Another great question.
Thank you. I'm full of them.
Well, to me, it is that there is no better thing to do for yourself and for the music listening world than to be authentic. Whether 10 people love you or 10 million people love you, it's the only way to do it, and it's the only way to, I think, eventually and inevitably inspire other people to do the same. And I can look back now with hindsight and see that as a kid in Texas in a very small town with nothing to do, I listened to bands and I watched movies, and it was the only thing I had that could bring me out of that town and give me hope for and dream for what we're doing now. So that has just been solidified over the last year. Just be true to yourself and you'll win in the end.
Absolutely. Final question. When you guys are on the road and you're handed the prestigious duty of taking over the aux cord, what are you listening to in the van right now?
Right now, which is changing as it does for everyone, I'm sure, it's been a lot of Hers. You know that band Hers?
No.
So sadly, unfortunately, they've passed away, but in I think 2019. But they were phenomenal, and I only wish they were still here because I think they would be doing a lot of wonderful, wonderful things.
Absolutely. Well, I'll check them out. In the meantime, everybody watching this, check out Brigitte Calls Me Baby. I say this in all sincerity. I think you guys are wonderful. I love what you're doing. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. How can people support the band?
Come to these shows.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, so Wes, thank you so much. Brigitte Calls Me Baby. Check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, case 4 on Q101.